Welcome to ePathshala. I'm Dr. Vishal Jadhav, Associate Professor, Department of Sociology, Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapeeth, Pune. We just looked at one module called Comparing Marx, Weber and Durkheim. So we are continuing with that as the second part of the same module. In the previous module, we understood the similarities and differences between these three thinkers, and we'll continue to do the same in this part of the module also. In this module, we'll delve deeper into their philosophical understandings and into their epistemologies and ontologies that they have used. Theoretical knowledge in social science has built upon classical concepts of Marx, Weber and Durkheim. In the first part of this module, comparing and contrasting these three influential theories, we covered the basic perspectives that each of them take. We have seen Marx provided the conceptual background of social class, means of production, materialist theory of history, theory of surplus value, class consciousness in the capitalist system and trajectory of class struggle, revolution and communism. While Marx outlined all these issues mostly in the book The Kapital, the German ideology, a contribution to the critique of political economy, the Communist Manifesto and the 18th Brumaire of Louis Bonaparte, Durkheim brought a different kind of understanding of social system and structure, especially the division of labor, the rules of sociological method, suicide and the elementary forms of religious life accumulated as a major thematic and conceptual proposition by Durkheim. Weber's religion, rationalization, social action and stratification, politics and a different view on capitalism being elaborated in the Protestant ethic and the spirit of capitalism, economy and the state, and some lectures and political writings. In this module, we are going to discuss on sociological tradition and the perspectives regarding methodological instances, thematic interactions on religion, culture and other social phenomena. We will try to learn how these three philosophers have perceived modernity and encountered the complexities of interactions between individuals and community. Overall, it gives an indulgent experience in sociological tradition and knowledge from classical era, as well as informs us about the sources of sociological imaginations. It may be true that most of the classical sociological theories have two aspects: the significance of moral assumption and the nature of subject matter. Our intellectual challenge is to uncover the general propositions embedded in these basic ideas of Marx, Weber and Durkheim. They have tried to construct the ideas and theories in a holistic manner by conceiving a diverse area of human life and society that we have to keep in mind to discuss on specific topics. Durkheim emphasized that while primary domain of psychology is to understand processes internal to the individual, the primary domain of sociology is social facts. As a social scientist, he advocated a systematic and methodological examination of social facts and their impact on individual. He was interested in both objective and subjective elements of society, like external social facts as well as feelings of solidarity or commitment to a moral code. In a similar way, Marx's economic philosophy is not only occupied by market, money and profit, but it is rooted in science and a humanist prophecy. In analyzing the economic dynamics of capitalism, he considered the social and moral problems inherent to capitalist system. We found Weber to be a combined methodological scientific approach with a concern about materialist condition and ideas systems of modern societies. Bearing these intellectual changes to read and reveal the core themes and the interconnections of ideas, we will proceed to discuss some major concepts in sociology by comparing and contrasting these three. Ways of investigation on methodology. As we were discussing that the classical theorists developed their arguments upon morality and emphasize upon society as a moral unity, they certainly followed a particular approach to examine the society. Durkheim was influenced by Auguste Comte and argued for positivism as a methodological perspective. Hence, he builds the ground where the methods were following a law-like relation among phenomena and modeled on physical sciences, developing positive science. Weber rejected this positive connection of social science with natural science and argued that the method of science, where the subject matter be thing or man, always proceeds by abstraction and generalization. When Durkheim is claiming that social facts or social phenomena or forces are the subject matter of sociology, Weber argues sociology is a science which aims at the interpretative understanding or Verstehen of social behavior in order to gain an explanation of its cause, its course, and its effects. Durkheim's second major work, The Rules of Sociological Method, manifested in the guidelines of methodological perspectives for social sciences and the art of explaining social life. He believes that these rules are helpful to see the existence of social realities outside the individual and examines the social facts. According to Durkheim, social facts are general throughout society. They diffuse within the group, external to individuals, and constitute the objective structure of society. It can be recognized by the power of external coercion or by the resistance offered against individual effort to violate social rules and customary practices. Then he offered the way to study the social facts, and to do so, Durkheim suggests that we have to consider the social facts as things. Things are not ideas, and ideas have no reality. So in observing social facts, we have to treat the material things, which may be legal rules, customs, religious rules, because they have power of external coercion. These are not simply formed impressions of mind. However, emphasizing social facts as things as the basic rule, Durkheim proposes the guidelines for observation and study of social reality, where he develops the criteria and formulates the basis for comparing and analyzing social institutions and their functions. Weber, on the other hand, rejects the notion that societies can be better understood as unified. He was pushing forward methodologically an interpretative and subjective meaning of all social realities and independent actions. Weber depends on meaningful actions and subjective meaningfulness of the motives for these actions, when he carefully avoids discovering an objectively correct meaning. He was then talking about value relevance, which must be distinguished from value neutrality. He identified that values remain central in our research process, even in the selection of our topics. From this argument, he also develops the key conceptual tool for researchers to escape from dilemma in a comparative study, the notion of ideal type. Weber is also shown to have the mastery in methodological viewpoint, unlike Durkheim and Marx, by offering the causality and probability in social science research. But when we are talking about the contradictions and cohesion of methodological instances in sociological practices of Durkheim and Weber, what about Marx? Both Durkheim and Weber began with a critical approach towards Marx's historical materialism. However, Marx rejected abstract idealism and acquired a critical method to identify the social relations into economic phenomena of capitalism. The central scientific goal for Marx was to provide an empirically well-founded description of capitalist economic system by illustrating the historical process. In that sense, his main social scientific contribution is Capital. There are reasoning, calculation, and explanation. These sociological descriptions, historical interpretation, and quasi-formal reasoning about institutions and economic relations reflect that Marx's style of inquiry has a number of features. It is materialist because it focuses on forces and relations of production, as it postulates that technology and power are fundamental with regard to other social formations. It is oriented to the silence of class and class conflict within historical change. At the same time, dialectics is not a methodological position of Marx, rather it is simply a high-level hypothesis. A good number of 20th century social scientists argued that rational choice approach can be considered as Marx's methodological perspective as well as it is eclectic. Extending theory on modernity. Sociology is dealing with human action and interaction, and sociologists are fascinated with new theories and methods. Kenneth Allen said, "Theoretical thinking is a way of seeing and being aware of the world." Marx, Weber, and Durkheim built up theories from empirical phenomena. They provide some concepts, definitions, and key instruments to explore the human society. All of them extend the modern theory of social sciences and at the same time deal with the facts and phenomena of modernity. We can see in Weber's assertion on ideal type of modernity and his idea of rationality and disenchantment of Western world. Marx, Weber, and Durkheim theory of modern society widely appreciated and considered as the landmark analysis of modernity in classical sociological theory. Marx found alienation is a central problem of modern capitalist society, and his discussion of alienation is the vital point in modern sociological thinking. Alienation is defined as the social psychological feeling of estrangement from work, from our fellow human beings, and from the self. Marx believes this alienation is rooted in the capitalist mode of production itself. Later in the same volume of Capital, he continues, "Modern society and industry rents the veil that concealed from men their own social processes of production, and that turned the various spontaneously divided branches of production into so many riddles, not only to outsiders but even to the initiated. The principles which it pursued of resolving each process into its constituent movements without any regard to their possible execution by the hand of man created the new modern science of technology." With a serious note, he considered this as a significant problem of modern work and the modern division of labor in capitalist society. It is not only the problem of economic sphere, but also it will affect on social relations in modern life. Hence, a central insight of Marx's critique of alienation in capitalist society is simply the importance of recognizing men as both the authors and the actors of their own drama. With this concern regarding alienation, he also pointed out on agency as major element in understanding of modern society. When Marx is considering alienation, Durkheim picks anomie as the key concept to understand modernity. He analyzed modern society and social structure depending on his theory of anomie. But he also begins with the discussion on structural interdependence that creates pressures for integration, and also there is an increasing rate of division of labor. People also tend to perceive socially differentiated, distinct cultures. Hence, all these issues together give rise to problems which are problems of modernity. Then he elaborates the possible social pathologies like anomie and forced division of labor. As Allen states, Durkheim's theory motivated by his concern about culture and modernity, and he sees modernity as being driven by increasing levels of population density and division of labor. We can see a constant appearance of these issues in Durkheim's argument. In some way, this condition matches with what Marx talked about alienation. Marx's alienation and Durkheim's division of labor, both of the situations led to the suffering and separation. But both of these are different in the way people perceive them and how these conditions emerge. Durkheim's alienation is a result of pathological form of division of labor, and it exists as a subjective state. Marx's alienation happened with organic evolution, and people get to know about this through class consciousness. With Marx and Durkheim, Weber is taking a central role in theorizing modernity, and his position has been termed as cultural pessimism. The term cultural pessimist has some merit given Weber's often sobering remarks on modern society. He clearly mentioned that the spirit of Christian aestheticism and rational conduct are the fundamental elements of modern capitalism and modern culture. Furthermore, the modern society has been characterized by concepts such as bureaucratization, rationalization, intellectualization, and the disenchantment of the world. He also figured out development of philosophical and scientific empiricism, from technical development to spiritual ideals, quantitative cultural significance of ascetic Protestantism, with capital rationalism to describe the modern culture and status of modernity. Three of them were concerned about structural aspects of modernity. Despite the differences in the perspectives to elaborate, they offered a ground for ambivalence to revisit the site of modernity with a cultural and phenomenological outlook. Religion, culture, and social realities. Marx, Weber, and Durkheim all put forward a wide range of thoughts and concepts regarding religion, bearing the idea of sacred and profane as two major divisions. Durkheim proposed that society is the soul of religion. It can shape one's thoughts and feelings and gives people a sense of hope and something to believe in. Marx helps us to understand the mass appeal made by religion in society and how this mass appeal leads to false consciousness, and therefore he takes on the historicity and class position in this regard. He also believes the criticism of religion disenchantment man so that he will think, act, and fashion his reality like a man who has discarded his illusions and regained his sense. He makes a distinction between true sun and illusionary sun to talk about religion, and claims that religion is the only illusory sun which revolves around man. On the other hand, Durkheim perceived religion as a combination of practice and belief that led towards collective consciousness and social solidarity. He defines religion as a unified system of belief and practices relative to sacred things, that is to say, things set apart and forbidden, beliefs and practices which unite into one single moral community called a church, all those who adhere to them. Here we can see how Durkheim's view on religion is different from Marx. Marx takes on religion as a major context of his theoretical perspective of false consciousness, wherein Durkheim is taking his theory of social solidarity with collective consciousness. Moving forward, we have to consider Durkheim's and Weber's contribution have brought the religion as a central theme and analytical locus of sociology and anthropology. They made it intellectually rigorous at the same time. Weber never suggests a formal definition of religion, but his writings on religion reflects the historical and cultural context of development and social implications of different religion. In his views, in religion mostly articulated in the Protestant ethic and the spirit of capitalism, religion of China, religion of India, and in ancient Judaism. At the same time, we can see a set of ideas regarding religious complexity in relation to social action, economic behavior, had been accumulated in economic ethics of the world, religion series, and economy and society. Through the religious complexity and multi-causality, he compared Western modern capitalist development with China and India. He identifies different arrays of or orientations that related to ruling, religion, economy and social prestige, family kinship and law in different civilizations. Weber examines the psychological rewards and economic implications of religious systems like Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, ancient Judaism, Taoism, Confucianism. To talk about religion, he uses the term an idea of magic and suggested about the historical point when religion worldview liberated from a connection to the magic and became rational so that growth development in modern economic systems could begin. Shortly, the development of modern civilization proceeds directly in relation to the decline of magic in social life. When Weber is considering the religious phenomena as sociological analysis and economic consideration, Durkheim, on the contrary, emphasized on religious beliefs. What are the functions of these collective beliefs and how are they related to social integration? When we are talking about religion, if we remind how Marx, Weber and Durkheim altogether talked about secularization, Marx's alienation of labor, Durkheim's pathologies and Weber's iron cage reflect their views on the mechanism and secularization in modern capitalist system. The ambiguity and prediction Weber and Durkheim configured in their own magnum opuses would clarify the ideological and methodological distinctiveness regarding religion. Individual and society. The debates and crisis to exercising social theories often refer Marx, Weber and Durkheim for rendering the question, what actually are social theories? This question led to the sphere of philosophical linkages from where the theories have emerged. In a restricted sense, we can see that when Weber sought to understand individual and subjective meanings, Durkheim's attempt was to understand the social in relation to the social facts and phenomena. In relation to these, we see Marx's attempt to overthrow Hegel's idealism and to proclaim that the real point of philosophy is to change the world and not merely to understand it. The philosophical roots and responses are diverse and seems ambivalent when we compare and contrast Marx, Durkheim and Weber. One of the divergences may be rooted in conceptualizing individual and exploring society. In the other way, how they have seen the individual and society separately and the interrelations of these two. Durkheim outlined the balance between individual and society in a functional point of view, while theorizing suicide. According to him, suicide is a result of imbalance in the independence or autonomous relationship, and it occurs among those subjects who are too much or too little socially associated with the system. He went on arguing that suicide rates are different between different social groups because it depends how individuals are connected to society and what kinds of social supports they get. He suggested the balance between independence and individual freedom on one side, and on the other side subordination to the collective. This complexity and structural mechanism of individual and society also elaborated in division of labor and social solidarity theories of Durkheim. Weber emphasized on interpretative understanding to develop the theory of social action and talks about sociological method. Subjective events are most important for social science research when knowledge must be of the internal or subjective states of individuals. He was also interested to look at how individuals act on their understanding and how this understanding may be related to the social action in society. When, in methodological perspective, subjective experience of individuals are vital for him. These inner states are working as the base for social action. At the same time, to understand society, he offers the idea of social spheres. One social sphere exists, acts, rationalizes and creates orientations with other social acts and influence on other social spheres. He mentions the legal, religious, political spheres of society which maintain interconnectedness, and in a process of overlapping and intersecting, they change and they develop. When we see Marx's works on capitalist owners finally falling in the defined class of owners or workers, or bourgeoisie and proletariats, Weber extended the dualistic idea of stratification by the tripartite model of class, status and party. The formulation of social stratification elaborates the outlook on examining the individual position in social structure and interactions. Marx looks at individual and society through the lens of economic materialism. Durkheim and Weber both echoed with him in legitimizing all knowledge system and capitalist authoritarianism on individual and society, but they dismiss ties with Marx for developing their own arguments. Weber shows us how culture is socially constructed and proposed sociology of knowledge and sociology of organization. Durkheim extends the idea of social order and social structure to encounter the question of how individuals' unlimited desires would be controlled by social regulation. Now, moving towards a comparative understanding of what we discussed in terms of the basic sociological concepts which have been conceived in the theoretical propositions of Marx, Durkheim and Weber. Weber and Durkheim continued with the interchanging ideas from Marx, but they are not followers in any way. Their criticism on Western modernism and capitalism bring new and original theoretical ground which have been widely celebrated as classics in social science disciplines. However, the linkage and lineage of ideas and concepts of these three founding fathers could not be ignored. As Cuff observes, Weber's sociology is much closer to Marx than Durkheim's is, and coming from a very different philosophical background from Marx, Weber was allied to the Neo-Kantian rather than Hegelian tradition on German thought. In terms of their influence in sociology, it seems that in the immediate post-World War II period, Durkheim's influence was to be great and more sustained than Marx's or Weber's. In terms of sociological imagination, all of them provide new routes where we found a rigorous methodological and conceptual base. Historical, economic, socio-political, cultural and religious elements of human existence have been covered by these three figures. If we consider some specific school or sub-discipline of sociology, say economic sociology traces its historical roots primarily to Marx, Weber and Durkheim. Marx's and Weber's structuralism and Durkheim's structural functionalism build up the philosophical foundation of modern social science. To the outline, the foundation of social theory in relation with Enlightenment and classic trend, Gerard Delanty asserts that Marx established a tradition in which social theory and explanation of the rise and transformation of capitalist society, while his social theory is critical in fashion. However, his early work was dominated by Aristotelian notion of praxis, which he linked to his major themes of alienation and extended the idea of Hegel. After Marx, social theory split into three classical traditions. One heritage continued with Marx's classical tradition, critical tradition. One was from Comte, represented by Durkheim, and another goes back to Kant, that includes Weber. Schooled in French philosophy, Emile Durkheim can be considered to be the first social theorist who established social theory as a social scientific endeavor. As a social theorist, on the other hand, Weber set out to explain the modern world. Like Durkheim, he was interested to explain moral foundations of society. But unlike Durkheim, he emphasized meanings and processes of cultural rationalization. Both Weber and Durkheim offered a general social theory of modern capitalist society that underpinned new methodological approaches for social sciences. Like Marx, the themes of crisis were common for both of them. This thematically fashioned module of comparison and contrast of these positions of Marx, Durkheim and Weber would be broadened our understanding of human society, and it will help us to engage with the particular theories. It will also enable us to analyze critically the specific conceptual position offered by them. To encounter and conceptualize the social forces in modern society, comparing and contrasting would support us as a key tool. If we seek help from the comparative discussion, it may tell us about basic variables of Marx, Durkheim and Weber that they used in analysis of society. To conclude then, part 1 and part 2 of this module, we have seen how and why these three thinkers have been instrumental and foundational in laying out the ideals, the objectives and the conditions of the subject of sociology. Further, these three thinkers, or so-called founding fathers of sociology, have taken different epistemological journeys or trajectories and have pursued them to bring out theories that differently explain how societies function.